What is up? We are your Colorado real estate family, and today we're going to be bringing you the most affordable cities to buy a home near Fort Collins.
All right, let's go. All right, if you're new to our channel, my name is Chelsea, this is my husband Pete, and if you're interested in moving to Denver or any of the surrounding cities, we're the couple that you need to know. So do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. We put out a couple videos a week.
Licensed real estate agent right here, helping you out with all your real estate needs. So many people just like you who are purchasing homes within Colorado. So we're going to throw that phone number in below right there. Give us a ring, and when you call or text that number, you're going to get us and us only.
All right, so we just did a video recently talking about the most affordable homes to buy around Denver.
Yep.
But maybe Denver is not the final destination for you. Maybe it's Fort Collins. And this has been the city that everyone's talking about. So it's not uncommon that a lot of you are calling us saying, I don't want to be close to Denver, Chelsea and Pete. I want to be close to Fort Collins. So today we're going to be talking about the most affordable ones around Fort Collins. But let's give you at least a little breakdown, a little bit more about this big city.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing about Fort Collins and why it's so appealing. It's the fourth largest city inside of Colorado. It's pretty much the next beast that's north of Denver. So the south side, you know, you're looking at Colorado Springs and even a little bit Castle Rock. But Fort Collins is your huge beast of in northern Colorado. If you're looking to buy within Fort Collins, a median sales price of $565. Now, before we dive into these other cities, just to give you a quick heads up, that number that I'm throwing out with the median sales price, that incorporates your attached and your detached home. All those are put into one number, and that's the number that we're going to be using for all these cities.
Okay, and then before we move on, because we talked about Fort Collins as a whole, what is it in comparison to Denver?
All right, so if we're going to compare Denver's median sales price as opposed to Fort Collins' median sales price, we talked about Fort Collins was at $565. Denver, you're looking at a median sales price of $600. So that number is closing in fast. It used to be a lot further apart. I'd say 5 years ago, it was definitely way further apart. But now that Fort Collins is becoming so big, becoming one of the top spots to move to in the United States, it's getting up there.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we are doing this video. We want a lot of our people who are moving in want to know how do they get close to Fort Collins without having to pay this huge price gain. We're going to start kind of on the northwest side, I guess I should say. And we'll circle kind of all the way around Fort Collins. And we were going to put LaPorte in, but LaPorte didn't make the cut on most affordable.
LaPorte, your median sales price is over $1 million. So.
Yeah, we're like, well, that's not going to work. We're going to start with the smaller town of Bellvue and kind of explain like that whole...
So Bellvue, this is going to be much different from all the other cities that we're talking about because it is essentially a mountain town. So you're not going to find your regular suburbia inside of Bellvue. It's all your mountain houses. So people, you know, on large parcels of land, building a home or buying a home that's already on that parcel of land. So we'll throw some B-roll up so you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. But this is your true, if you want your mountain living to be close to Fort Collins at a lower price point, this is definitely the spot to be. Median sales price of $515.
All right, so now if we start going kind of further away, a little further north, but you know, circling around east, is going to actually be Wellington. So what is Wellington's median sales price?
Yeah, so Wellington, you guys have actually been reaching out to us quite a bit about Wellington because you're like, wait a second, you know, I love Fort Collins, but I'm liking these prices in Wellington a little bit more. So in Wellington, you're looking at a median sales price of $487. And I will tell you that Wellington kind of was that small town that was just north of Fort Collins because Fort Collins is growing the way it has, Wellington's blown up, and so you have a lot of newer developments that are happening within the Wellington area.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is going to be very far from Denver, but if you're looking to be close to Fort Collins, not that far. So definitely a city to keep in mind. Okay, so we're going to circle around a little bit more over to, which honestly, I have not had a lot of experience with Severance, but Severance is a city that we definitely want to cover as far as pricing goes. So what is Severance at?
Yeah, so Severance, it's obviously going to be on the east side of I-25 and east of Fort Collins. You're looking at a median sales price of $500,000.
$500,000. Guys, you're not going to see these prices if you're looking closer to like the Denver north area. So definitely these cities are still such a great affordable way to get close to one of our big major cities.
You got all these cities that were driven by agriculture and such, and they're kind of blowing up just because Fort Collins is becoming such the beast that it is. So everyone's like, hey, why don't I check out this town and this town? And so these developers are catching on to that, and they're like, oh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start building here. I'm going to start building here. And so that's why these smaller cities that you really weren't known before are starting to blow up.
Yeah, now if we go a little bit further around, this is a city that is a little bit more, you know, commonly heard, which is going to be Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor if you haven't heard, like, I think, what was it, 2008 is when they had the huge tornado, and so that's kind of, it's horrible that they're called to fame. They have some great boat races there, I will tell you that. I used to always go as a kid, but Windsor, it's become like a more of an affluent city outside of Fort Collins. That's kind of what it's been known for, your ultimate suburbia, but kind of on the higher end. You're looking at a median sales price of $553. Now you're like, hey, I thought you said this was more of an affluent area. I will tell you that a lot of the older homes is what's kind of bringing that number down a little bit. If you're looking at the newer portion of Windsor where all this all kind of happening, that you're not going to be able to get much for around that price point.
Yeah. I did forget a small little city kind of outside of Windsor, a little bit near Severance, but that's going to be Timnath.
Yeah, Timnath is kind of that city right off the highway in I-25, and it's super small. They still have a lot of great, newer suburbia areas there, and you look at a median sales price of $688, which is actually higher than Windsor and all these other ones that we've been talking about.
Yeah, now this does kind of follow the rule, like, as you get closer to the west side, it starts creeping up, but I think Timnath has like kind of the best accessibility to the highway, so that could be also why it's really desirable, is it's right there, and you're not, going too far east either. So, okay, if we are to go kind of south, we're going to cover two kind of hot cities that a lot of people have heard about, especially recently, because these are some cities that we've been keeping a pretty close eye on. So let's talk about Johnstown, which is directly south of where we just were.
Yeah, so Johnstown, it's pretty much, you got like the east side of I-25, you got Johnstown, west side, you got Loveland. Of course, it kind of goes like this a little bit, but that's a good, rule of thumb. It's like that'll be Johnstown, that'll be Loveland. You look at a median sales price over in Johnstown of $608.
Now, we have spent a lot of time in Johnstown. One of our, local partners was kind of up there living there, and so we got to really get to know that city. There's a lot of great things like
they have their own little newspaper there, like their own little town newspaper that she used to always love to get. So
and we're also seeing a lot of medical things pop up there because it's starting to grow and kind of spread out east. So it's definitely becoming a lot bigger than it ever was before because Loveland has already crossed over. So, all right, let's go west of I-25 to the city that we love, which is Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland, Colorado. And this is, like I said, this is probably where majority of people who don't want to spend the money in Fort Collins are flooding down into, and that's Loveland. You look at a median sales price of $516.
All right, now another city that we've been telling people to keep an eye on. It seems a little bit far still, I think, from Fort Collins, but as we start to see things close in, I think we're going to start seeing Berthoud hit the maps here more than, almost as commonly as maybe Loveland. So what is Berthoud at? Yeah, so
Berthoud, just kind of give you a quick heads up, it's probably about a good 40 minutes south of Fort Collins, but it's a little bit further, but still, if you want that small town feel, they're building a lot of new suburbia and new development that's happening in the area. You're looking at a median sales price of $596.
Now, this is going to be something we tell you to keep an eye on because they do have kind of a built-in infrastructure of this little downtown Berthoud area. And again,
the cute little downtown that you see in all those Christmas movies and stuff.
Yeah, people love that here. They try to embed that in every big upcoming city. So when we start to see some of those things change, we know as locals we got to keep an eye on the city. That's why Berthoud always is something that we talk about because we think it's going to start hitting it up. Plus, Loveland is growing like crazy. It is going to be a big deal. Clearly, we're not going to be talking about anything west of Fort Collins because Fort Collins goes all the way into the foothills at that point. So everything we talked about are the cities kind of going like a backward C shape from north all the way south and around. But I have to mention a city because if you are okay with being a little further away from Fort Collins, we have to talk about Greeley. Yeah,
Greeley, Colorado. And this one, if it was within the whole scenario of being super close to Fort Collins, because it's still a good 40-minute drive to Greeley from Fort Collins, you're looking at a median sales price of $413.
So clearly Greeley would win if we were talking about kind of that north area, not specifically around Fort Collins, but just north as a whole. Greeley would take the pop. Unfortunately, because it is kind of further away and we are focusing on the cities surrounding Fort Collins, the winner of this entire video, so if you stuck around this long and you didn't take notes, the revealing city is Wellington. So Wellington took the pop at, what was it?
487.
487. So still under a $500,000, which I don't know if you've been following Colorado's market, but that's really good. So if you're looking
especially for the stock, you're looking at brand new development up there too. So it's like I'd say probably in the late 2010s is when they really started to hit it hard with all the development that is happening in the suburbia area of Wellington. And so it's all going to be brand new over there. And what we always talk about is, all right, Fort Collins is blowing up. We know it's blowing up. It's been this huge thing these last few years. What other cities are really going to be blowing up around Fort Collins that's going to grow like crazy?
So we have to kind of give you some insights of what we're seeing here as locals in that's the two cities that we want you to keep an eye on the most. And those two cities are going to be Wellington and Loveland. So Wellington and Loveland are blowing up, guys. We are not going to see those prices, I don't think, for long. Even though Wellington is winning, I mean, look at Loveland already being at, you know, 516. It's going to start increasing. We're going to start seeing it match up with Fort Collins. It's closer to Denver. So I definitely think if you're looking for equity gains and you're trying to come in here and say, hey, where are the two cities that are going to have the most equity gains? If I were to guess, I think it would be those two cities.
Yeah, one of those two. And so Loveland, I think the reason that it might take the pot, though, is because it has the infrastructure. It has kind of the older established neighborhood that you need in order to grow that city a little bit larger. Whereas Wellington used to be just a small little town that they decided to take the land and start building on and such. So I think Loveland definitely has more of the infrastructure to have those gains, more so than Wellington. But, I mean, look at LaPorte. LaPorte's one of those small cities that, like I said, median sales price up in the millions. So, are we going to see that with Wellington? I don't know if it'll go that high because it's so much closer to I-25, not as much into the mountains. But these are two cities that we would definitely want you guys to keep an eye on because, I mean, if you want to get in there and get a good price, you might want to do it soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, if there is any questions that you have around any of those surrounding cities, please, you know, shout out to us. We actually have a local expert up there so that we are responding to you guys fast. We are getting in there, being competitive. So if there's a city that you have your eye on and you're ready to start diving in, please let us know. We can start doing the work for you.
And of course, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in Colorado, right now we're talking about Northern Colorado, give us a call right below right there. We're going to get us and us only. And until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye. All right, if you're new to our channel... Okay. All right, if you're new to our channel, my name is Chelsea, and this is my husband, Pete. And dang it, I want to do something different.
Yeah, guys, and along those lines, we want to be your boots on the ground.
Around Fort Collins, starting with...
No, I got to talk about Fort Collins first.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Around Fort Collins? Okay.
Just for the sake of keeping this video as short and to the point as possible, making sure we give you...
$738.
Denver's 738.
Oh, no. Oh, that's the wrong thing.
I was like, I don't think it's 738.
Where are we going to start?
Timnath?
No, that's right in the middle of everything.
How about...
Should we do Bellvue around?
Yeah, let's do Bellvue.
Okay. So...
Well, you pretty much got all these agricultural style neighbor... You got all these... Fuck.
There's two cities that we really wanted to kind of come home here. Oh, wait, I forgot to talk about the winter.
About what?
The winter.